Alright, hello everyone. I am Kon Shimada. I used to be the team president of Team 2637 back in 2021 and 2022, and I used to do some strategy and drive work. And so I want to use this series to go over how teams respond to certain scenarios in an FRC match VOD review session. So currently I'm at the University of Michigan, and this is my email if you want to contact me, and you don't know me from when I used to be on the team. But the reason why I want to do this series is to help people understand the decision making that drive coaches and drivers make. And you have to understand that whoever is behind that glass needs to understand everything that goes on here. You have to understand the game at a very high level. Um, and you have to understand what the correct decision is at all times. And the more you make the correct decision, and the more times you make a mistake, the easier it will be to make the correct decision the next time. And um, in a game scenario where the wrong turn can lead to 5 seconds of lost time, which leads to 10 points of lost time, which snowballs, right? That's big. So there's two things that I generally want to focus on in most of these matches, which is the micro and the macro aspect of the game. By this, I mean the micro aspect, which is usually what the drivers themselves are looking at. It's how you're responding to things that are happening on the field in close proximity to your robot. Another robot's coming towards me, they're trying to defend me, right? I'm trying to get to position XYZ, but there's another robot there. It could be your alliance partner, it could be your opponent. Either way, there's some obstruction, right? I need to get a field element, but it's all the way over there, and that's the only one that's closest by. These are micro decisions. Macro decisions are things that the drive coach is usually in charge of. This is things like, how am I going to deal with the opponent's defense, right? Or they have a really aggressive robot playing in a certain area. How am I going to deal with that? This is where I score. I need to be able to score. What am I going to do? So, most teams' decisions are decisions they make during the match are usually a combination of the two, right? And by breaking down what's going on in these matches, I hope to one provide a more scientific approach. I'll say. To reviewing the game, right? I don't want people to say it was unlucky, it was a heat of the moment decision, um, they were just better than us, or we were just better than them. Being able to understand on a deep level what's going on is crucial to becoming a drive team that understands the game at a high level, and I think that's necessary to become a championship winning team. So, in this first episode, we're going to be watching the First in Texas District Championship. It's going to be the Apollo Division, and we're going to be focusing on Team 4206. Um, I really wanted to focus on this team because among the roles that FRC robots and teams play, they play a hybrid role. So you might have heard of the R1, the R2, R3, the defense bot, the top scoring robot, right? If you haven't, I'll go over that in another episode. But pretty much the gist of it is you have three teams in an alliance. Each team fills a certain position, a certain role on that alliance. They execute certain things, and depending on your role, that's going to depend on, your role is going to inform what decisions you take during the match, right? You don't want 254 to be playing defense. You want, the team who doesn't have a shooter to be performing defense. So that's an extreme example, but 4206 plays in hybrid style, which the way they play it, they go in a certain area on the field and they control that area. This means for certain periods of time, they're going to be shooting blue balls, right? Because they're on the blue lines. For certain periods of time, they're going to be defending either 6800 or 148. And I think a good way to understand this game is 4206 is playing a very, very, they're down here, by the way. They're playing a very, very difficult game of understanding what, they're right here. They're playing a very difficult game of understanding trade-offs. So, just like everything in life, there are trade-offs, right? Even if you one-for-one equate them, these teams probably understand that 6800 and 148 can outscore them. So they're trying to understand what can we do to maximize our chances to win the game or win the match, because what 2468, 4206, and 4219, what they need to do is not to score above a certain threshold, right? They need to score more than the opponent team, right? So if you believe your alliance partners can score more than one or two of the opponent teams, and you can shut down one of them, and you're enabling all three to score, that's really huge. Or even if you do this, right? If this guy's scoring half, and this guy's scoring 1, and this guy's scoring 1, you're gonna win, right? So that's a really crude way to explain it. I don't have the scouting data. I don't know how much these teams can actually score, but you can see a lot of times you might be like, hey, they had balls, why didn't they score, right? They're taking that trade-off. They think that they can, that them not scoring, their opponents not scoring, is worth more than they themselves scoring. The last concept I want to briefly explain before I go into it is map control. So it's very difficult in a game like this to be in situations where you're fully comfortable. So this might seem like an open field game, but you have certain choke points, or this area. You have certain choke points here. You have choke points here, and you have choke points, in close to the hub, right? And by choke point, I mean it's a difficult area for you to pass through. So if you're a team that wants to score high and wants to run with impunity, or without impunity across the field, then having robots stationed in key areas to deny you access to balls, to deny you access to areas that you like to score from, that's very huge. So by 4206 playing in a certain area on the field that you see, that denies the opponent team comfortability in playing in that area, and that can really mess up team strategies, and that can really lead you to win. Now, I realize it's kind of getting long, so I'll only do the first match, and then I'll do the other ones later. But you can kind of get a feel for what this series is going to be like, and I want to keep each video to around 5 minutes in length. So yeah. So we want to focus on this team right here, 4206. And I have so much to go over in the first episode. Okay, sorry. So when you're watching a match and you're focusing on the team, you want to be watching what they do. You don't want to be, you could have something really cool going on, doesn't matter, right? But you don't want a tunnel vision. So as you begin to scout more matches, as you begin to watch more matches and focusing on team, it'll get easier. But just try to keep your eye on this robot. And they're going to be moving, so just be careful. Oops. So, teleop just started. And first of all, right, what happened? the first thing you should notice is none of the robots went on the opponent's side instantly, right? They all went backwards to get the balls that are on their side, which is a good idea, because these drivers have their own visibility lines, right? So if I draw a vision cone, you know, this team right here isn't going to be able to see much. That's on the direct opposite side of the hub. This team right here is going to be obstructed by these trusses and this hub. So the first thing they did was take advantage of their starting positions and went to the balls behind them, which is good. I'm playing for longer this time. Right. So what do we see here? After they just scored, this team, I think it's 6800, yep, 6800 came on this side of the field. Oops, sorry. One thing to understand about these two teams, these two are very high scoring teams, and they're both very mobile teams. Another thing to understand is 148 likes to shoot from the launch pad. And so the main goal that you're going to see that the Red Alliance does is keep these two guys on the opposite side of the field. It's actually pretty cool because in certain scenarios, 6800 will come back here and 148 will immediately switch to the other side. But, so yeah, okay, so right now 148 is on this side of the field, so 6800 on this side of the field. Watch very carefully what 4206 does. They just hit them as they were lining up to shoot. Right. These two guys are doing a really good job of keeping him away from these balls, and so he's forced to go to this side. Right. But now, you know, he has a hard time. He shot 3 balls. That's a penalty, right? Or he had 3 balls. So, and then watch 4206 right now. Nope, he came back over, right? 6800 on this side, 148 on this side. Okay. So up until now, you saw 4206 played their side of the field, right? Especially near the hangar. This is why 4206 is such a good team. It's because they stay on this side of the field unless there's a very good reason to go to the other side of the field. So right now, you're going to see 4206 go to the other side of the field, and then I want you to think of the reasons why they did that. That's them. Okay. So this is really cool. If you look over here, there are no blue balls, right? There are no blue balls. 2468 is on their side of the field. You know, if you rewind 20 seconds, they were like over here. They came over this side because the balls are getting scarce over here. Now the balls are getting scarce over here. There were also 3 blue robots on this side of the field at a certain given time, and 2 red robots, right? This half of the field has 5 out of the 6 robots. That is really congested, especially, you know, for these guys' home territory, right? They want to be comfortable here. Blue always wants to be comfortable on this side of the field because this is where their supposedly best scorer is playing. This is where they can have the best visibility, lining up and stuff, responding to scenarios. Right? You can say you have vision, you have a limelight. It doesn't matter. If you get hit, it's gonna go off. Right? Second, 4206 has 2 balls. They want to be able to shoot them, but they're gonna have a hard time shooting here because their defense ball's just gonna come at them. Right? And finally, they see the opponent team right here wanting to score. So what do? Right, they have 2 balls right now. Instead of stopping here, they 100% could have, just shot here. But they decided, it's better to prevent them from scoring than for us to score. Because right now we're winning, right? So they wasted, 3-4 seconds of 6800's time. And then they went back. Right? They shot. And now 4206 are back on this side of the field. Ready to cause trouble for 148. Who's over here now? Right? Now I think they goofed a little bit. I don't think they need to go chasing there because they can't outscore them if there's 2 robots chasing. But sorry. Either way, they came back to their side. Oops. Now they're like, shoot, we need to score. So they're scoring right now. Right? Especially when you're an underdog in terms of the firepower of the alliance, you need to come up with some creative strategies. So 4206 playing like a hybrid pattern where they try to stay away from their alliance captain maximizes the chance of them scoring, right? So sorry, kept it going for too long. I think around here, yep. So around here, right, if you're 4206, you're seeing, okay, so this is the score right now. We have 15 seconds left until the end game, right? We have some balls over here. We have like 1 or 2 balls over here. There's gonna be a few balls over here. So they're gonna score this, and then they're gonna get these balls. Being able to understand what to do with how much time there is. Time is probably your biggest resource and your biggest enemy in FRC matches. Is a really big important thing to do. And so they realize, okay, with 15 seconds left, these guys are going to start climbing because they know that the opponent alliance likes to do a triple climb. They also see that there's a bunch of robots here, a bunch of balls here. So they're going to just go at it. And keep scoring until the end. They try to stop 148 a little bit there. Might have been effective, who knows. They score again. And then they go and do their climb. Right? So it's a very, as the drive coach and as the drivers, everyone needs to understand what's going on in terms of the time, right? In terms of who's where on the field and what your score is, right? They understood their own alliance's capabilities in terms of the end game, and they understood their alliance capabilities in terms of the end game. And so being able to marry those components is going to be really crucial in making the right calls during a match. And understanding where to position your robot in relation to all the robots in the field is super important. Eventually I'm going to do reviews of our team, and you're going to see a lot of mistakes, and that isn't to discredit any of our drive team members from that year, but there were a lot of mistakes that happened, and part of it is due to not understanding how to position yourselves. So that's going to be really crucial in being efficient in your movements on the field, and also to winning the match. So you're going to see the blue alliance wins, right? Very close. But that was kind of the first the first match. Um, Next match we're gonna do finals 2, and then I want you, if you guys are going to be watching other matches, I don't know when I'll record the second one. I'll probably do it sometime in the next 2 or 3 days, but I just wanted to get the first one out and get some feedback. So when you guys are watching matches, I want you to think of a few things, right? Adaptations, right? What is the team that you watched, so Blue Alliance, how is Blue going to adapt to what they saw in the match, right? How's Red going to adapt to what they saw in the match? They just lost, so now they're on the back foot, and they need to figure out, what did we mess up? What did they do that countered us well? And figure out how to change their strategy up, right? When you guys are in elim scenarios, you should be having people who look at your team. So let's say we're the Blue Lines, and tell them, hey, should have done this, should have done that. And then the Red, right? Someone who's watching specifically the other lines. Okay, they tended to do this, they tended to do that. While those two people are going down to the debrief, you guys should be talking, okay, they did this, I saw them doing that. What do you think they're going to do to adapt, right? Eventually, I'll do the Einstein finals as well, and you can very clearly see what the differences are between every single match. You can see, I know 254's online subbed in a robot, but that's a part of it, but it's also, they subbed in the robot because of the strategy they chose, right? It's not the other way around. They didn't sub in a robot because it broke down or whatever. They subbed it in because they wanted to change the strategy. So you want to think, what adaptations are they going to do, right? Maybe Blue won this time, but they won by 3 points, right? So what can they do to either execute their strategy better, or maybe even change it up, right? I'll do match 3 as well. Match 3 had some cool things, and yeah, okay. So that's pretty much the first episode. If you guys want me to review certain matches, let me know, but I have some lined up, so I'll be doing that. Thank you all for watching, and see you in the next one. That was a cringe ending.